to the reading meeting for year 3. And what I'm going to tell you about today is all the different sorts of reading that we do in year 3, what your child might be bringing home, what they might be talking about, and ways that you can help them at home. So the first type of reading we will do will be individual reading, and your child will have in their book bag a red reading record like this, and they will be on a colour level. And they will bring home an individual reading book, say on gold or white level, something like that, and they will read it to you. In the front of the book there are some instructions of how to use this reading record and how we'll be filling it in. What I would say is really important, whatever level your child is on, to keep reading to them. Because in year 3 lots of people think my child can read now, so I'm just going to let them read. But as alongside your individual book, please keep reading to them at home. Whatever they're into, whatever they're interested in, keep reading to them. They're never too old to be read to. If you want to, you can record in here things that you've read to them, things that they've read to you, their individual book. You might be able to record if you've done a recipe together and they've read a magazine, if they've read something on a tablet or an iPad. Any sort of reading can be recorded in here. You can write in here, your child can write in here, anyone can write in here. Your child can write a book review in here to explain whether they like the book, whether they like the ending or not, whether it was funny, that sort of thing. And so this is a dialogue between us and you about your child's reading. The other sort of reading that will be recorded in here is guided reading. Now, guided reading will be done in a group at school. Again, it will be on a band, a colour band like this, and your child will be probably with about 6 others in a group, all reading a book at the same level. In this session, the teacher, the adult working with the child, will be teaching them the skills of reading. Now, depending on what colour group your child is in, they will be doing different skills. So they might be doing actually learning how to read, or they might be doing what's happened in the book, predicting the ending, summarising what they've done, anything like that. But that will be written in to your child's reading record as well, and the adult will have written in the focus for that session. So you'll know if they were doing a non-fiction book and using the glossary, that will be referenced in there. Then you'll be able to talk to your child about how to use the glossary, for example. Or if it said they are comparing this story to the original story, you'll be able to discuss that with your child as well. So that's guided reading, and that usually takes place once a week in school, and that will be with other similar level children with a group book. And their individual book will be a different one, not necessarily exactly the same colour band, because we have to group them together. It'll be very, very similar. If you've got any issues with reading or anything you want to say, you can write it in this book as well, or you can email us on the year 3 email. Alongside that, in their book bag, they will have a spelling book, which looks like this. Is a green spelling book. And again, in the front of that spelling book, there are some instructions to show you how to learn the spellings. And it says look, say, cover, write, check, and explains how to use this spelling book. And again, they will be given out once a week and tested once a week. Stuck in there as well will be the rule, and we will be learning the rule at school and how to apply that spelling rule. So we don't want people just learning a list of words, being able to regurgitate them once a week, but not applying them in their other work. So they need to be able to use that spelling pattern in all of their writing as well. So that will be what they've got in their book bag. They might also be talking about someone called Derek, if you've heard of him. Well, Derek is another way that we do reading at school. They will be doing that every morning. We do that at 10 o'clock. And Derek is another way that we teach all the other skills of reading. So they might not have a book, they might just have a passage that they need to read. And we're going to focus on things like fluency of reading. That is really, really important for us, because lots of them can read and they can decode really, really well, but actually we need them to be fluent. We need them reading fluently and really understanding what they're reading as well. So we will be working on lots of different skills in Derek. The DERIC all stand for something. Maybe ask your child what they stand for, see if they know. That would be a good top tip for you there. So what we're also looking at there is something that you can work on with your child at home. Don't let them just churn through a book and read it, okay? We're not all about just the reading. We really want you to be doing lots and lots of talking with your child about the book, okay? And when we get into year 3, when we get into those further up reading skills, we really want to say things about the author. And I think lots of people miss this part out in year 3. What we want to be saying to your child is things like, why do you think the author chose that word? Okay, why do you think he placed the text there on the page? Or why do you think he wrote it in that style on the page? Lots of other questions. And there are lots and lots of those sort of questions that you can ask your child. There are lots of those things that you might want to ask us as well. Remember, our email is always there. If you've got the simplest of questions to ask us, you can. Now, I think one thing that people find when you get to year 3 is sometimes people's love of reading drops off a little bit. And I would say at this stage, go with whatever they love. Okay, so for example here, there is a book called Beast Quest, and there's probably about 200 of these. But if your child loves these, let them read them. If they love the Shoot magazine about football, that's great. We want them to be reading anything, and we want them to be reading really, really broadly. So if they love non-fiction, brilliant. If they love poetry, brilliant. Stories, but don't restrict what they read. And actually, sometimes they just want to read and read and read the same thing, but they'll go through that phase, and then they'll probably read something else, and they'll get out of that phase. So I, with my daughter, had to read 120 different Rainbow Fairies books. Not the greatest fun in the world, but we did it, and then she moved on to another phase. And we had to read Jacqueline Wilson for hours and hours and hours. But what you need to do is actually go with that and just encourage them and let them, if they come home saying, I really, really love Roald Dahl, that's our featured author, which is in year 3. So we start off with our featured author, Roald Dahl. I would really, really like them to be able to go to the library, get some Roald Dahl books out, maybe get some from a bookshop or secondhand, or share books around in your family, and let them read all the books in the Roald Dahl series, and then they'll go on to something else. We really want them to be able to name some of their favourite authors, so know the names of who actually wrote this book, and are there any other books by that same author as well. That would be a really, really good thing for them to be able to do. So during year 3, we do follow up certain authors and certain texts, and we start looking at them in real detail. This term we're looking at play scripts, and we're looking at traditional tales, but then we do move on, and we actually move on to a book with no words in it at all. So don't think my child's in year 3 now, they should be reading a paperback, okay? There are some brilliant picture books that they can be reading, and let them read those. There's some picture books at a really high level. They can actually talk for hours just about a picture and what they can infer from that picture, rather than having to plough through things that you think are year 3 books and paper books, backs and things like that. We've tried to get as many books for the interest, especially for some of the boys' interests as well, to keep them reading. If your child is particularly into something, do tell us, because we might be able to buy some books. One year we had someone who's really into horses, and we bought lots of books, non-fiction and fiction, about horses for them to read. Another year we had lots of boys who were into rugby, we bought some of those. So do tell us if we want to buy a particular book so we can keep your child interested in reading. So I think for me, the main points to remember are: keep reading, try and be a role model to them, let them see you reading. That would be really, really good. Even if it's something that you don't consider to be a worthy book, reading is reading, and I think really, really try and read a recipe together, try and write a shopping list and read that together, all those sorts of things. And I think as well, try and love reading together, read to them as much as you can. If you're really busy, I know I had 3 young children and it's really, really hard to get that time. Audiobooks are really, really good. And let them listen to an audiobook. Listen to an audiobook together in the car and chat about what you're listening to. That would be a really good thing to do as well. So there's lots of ways you can do this and fit it around your busy schedule. If they are reading on a tablet, that's not a bad thing. They are still reading. So really try and expand that. I think some people worry about what they can write in here. Really do write everything. Everything, even if they've read the subtitles on the TV, that's still reading, and that's great. Also, when they become a really, really fluent reader, don't stop reading to them and don't stop chatting to them about the book. Okay, and we can provide you with some questions. I'll print out some questions and send them home with pupils about the kind of questions that you'd like to chat about the book. I'm not going to go all through the questions now, but basically the sort of things that you could ask them as you're reading, and you're reading with them. Ask them to read to a younger sibling, and let them reread books that they read when they were younger. That's another thing. Don't make them plough through a book if they hate it after chapter 2. Let them write in here, I didn't really like this book, I'm going to change it for another one. And that's absolutely fine. Also, we are letting them change their individual reading books themselves, so don't wait with it in their book bag and say the teacher hasn't changed it. They are independent now. They can come in first thing in the morning, swap their individual reading book and write it in here themselves. So that's something that can be happening all the time. And some children will be receiving extra help with their reading. There's lots of different children at different levels in year 3, from people still learning to read right up to fluent readers, and every different level will be catered for. But I think for me, carry on loving reading and make sure they're really enjoying reading as well. there's any questions about anything I've said, because I've talked rather fast, whistle stop very, very quick. If you want to ask us anything, you can email it to the Year 3 email and we will try and reply as quickly as possible. If it's a quick query about something, you can write it into their red book, because we can have a look in there and just get that sorted, or get them to come and ask us as well. But any questions about reading, do ask us, and enjoy reading.